fitness trainer and nutrition specialist by craft, and these are sort of some coaching skills that I've developed along the way because of the need that I saw. So what that really means, behavior coach or habit change coach, cognitive behavior change, it's really the difference between, you know, a trainer or a nutritionist who gives you these routines or these, you know, workout plans or diet plans, and those are really so end goal focused. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is more so the thought process that goes into making all those changes or adhering to those, you know, programs or plans. Because if we don't have the mentality or, you know, the understanding of what it takes to really accomplish these programs and plans, they're really futile for us. And that's why a lot of us, you know, I have so many clients come to me that have tried 100 different, you know, 30-day cleanse or 6-week shred, and they're really not sustainable, because what happens is these programs or plans, they're sort of idealistic, and our lives are not that way, right? We don't have the same exact, you know, gym time every day. You know, our kids get sick, work changes, we go on vacations, and these things aren't really sustainable. And what happens is, you know, we have a little bump in the road in this 30-day cleanse, and then we give up because we already failed. So what I'm here to talk about and what my specialty is and what I do with clients is really working on the skills and the actions behind, you know, the preparedness for these obstacles, these bumps in the road, these things that come up. And whether they're situational or circumstantial, you know, work schedule, kids, getting sick, things like that, or whether it's in our own mind in terms of making excuses, which we all do, it's human nature. But it's really about bringing awareness to those things that stand in our way, and then coming up with proactive solutions. Because a lot of times we deal with these things after the fact in kind of a passive way. We kind of act out of impulse and make these quote unquote unfavorable choices. I'm not going to say bad choices because it's different for everybody. Whatever our health goal is or whatever our, you know, preferable action is, we end up kind of making these mistakes in, you know, like spur of the moment judgment. And then we end up sitting in guilt and regret and ruminating on these negative choices or these quote unquote failures that we see that we've made. And it really just sets ourselves up for, you know, negative momentum. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is creating an action plan. And action plans are awesome because they can work for anything. It could be a shopping addiction or quitting smoking, but it's really just an actionable tool so that we can really approach these things with, you know, active preparedness. And that's really what it is preparing ahead of time for these obstacles. Excuse me. So what the main objective is we're going to look at we're going to bring awareness to what our obstacles are. We're going to figure out what those are and nail them down, and then come up with solutions ahead of time. And then we can plan those into our week. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. But I want to talk a little bit more about, you know, why this is so important, because I think a lot of times we hear, and I certainly hear it with my clients, there's so many, you know, theories out there, and, oh, you know, we'll just stick to it and, you know, be consistent. Consistency is key. And we never really get down to why we make these choices. Like, we just hear all of these ideal theories, you know, stick with it, but easier said than done. Like, we'd all be successful in our health goals if that were the case. And we never really stop to look at, you know, the things that drive us to make these choices, because it doesn't make much sense to us. You know, we want to eat healthy and we want to work out every day, but we don't. So there's something missing there. It's not just work out and eat healthy, and that's the secret to getting in shape. There's a reason why we're not executing on these tasks. And then we feel, again, frustrated. We feel like a failure because we sort of have this battle. And what that really comes down to, for the most part, is putting ourselves in circumstances where we don't have a choice, but the unfavorable one. And it's waiting until we get to this circumstance. And I'll give you an example, like, you know, waiting until the end of the day to get in your workout, and then your boss schedules a meeting and you can't get to the gym before it closes. Well, now it's the gym's fault for closing early, right? So we kind of put ourselves in these circumstances. Or, you know, we get to the baseball game and all the baseball game has to offer for food is, you know, hot dogs and nachos. So we didn't have a choice. We had to eat hot dogs and nachos, right? And so it sounds a little silly, but it's really about taking accountability. And I want to be very careful to not say blame, because it's not about negativity, and it's not about whose fault it is. It's about changing your perspective of the situation and looking for opportunities where you could take control and make a change. And that's not a negative thing. Taking accountability is not a negative thing. It's not saying it's all your fault or you messed up. It's about the opportunity for you to take action on it. Because anytime you take accountability, you look at what could I do or what could I have done to make the situation better. And it's about ahead of time, because you can't really do too much about it when it's already happened, right? And we sort of get this victim mentality of our environment, and sometimes it's subconscious and sometimes it's kind of conscious, and we sort of use these situations as a way to pawn off our behaviors. Like I said, at the baseball game, we want that temporary pleasure of having the hot dog, having the nachos, and we kind of use that excuse, so to speak, to say, okay, I made this choice because I had to. And sometimes it's, unconscious, and we do feel like we're the victim, and we feel like we can't make these changes to our workout routine or to our diets, and it feels hopeless, right? Like if I told you that, you had to run 6 miles tomorrow and you've never run a mile in your life, how hard are you going to train tonight? Not very hard, because it's not going to happen, right? Not realistically. If I told you that, you had to run 6 miles in 6 months, and right now you can already run 3 miles, you're probably going to train really hard. So it's about making that quote unquote impossible feat possible. I just can't get to the gym. I just can't be consistent. I just can't schedule it with work. And we feel sort of victimized. So by making these action plans, we look for these opportunities ahead of time to set ourselves up for these situations that end up derailing us. So we come in armed with these tools and with these plans and with these backups, so we never end up putting ourselves in the position where we have to choose the unfavorable behavior, right? So I'll give you a few specific examples, and then we'll talk a little bit about the action plan itself. So I kind of gave you a few already, but talking about things like, and I'll give you the examples from my clients. So they'll say, oh, I forgot my sneakers, I forgot my workout clothes, I have to cancel. Okay, so if that's one of your most common things, what could be a solution to that? Keeping an extra pair in a locker at the gym, rent a locker. Keep an extra pair in your office. Some of my clients used to keep socks and sneakers in my drawers. Sometimes it's, oh, I was too hungry, like I couldn't, which that's my thing always. I'm too hungry to work out, I'm famished. So keeping a stack of, snack bars or something, maybe even at the gym, so you're not tempted to eat them all day at work, or keep something in your purse, or, plan your meals accordingly. Like sometimes I have my clients split up, they'll eat lunch at 12, and then they don't have a session with me until 7, and I'll have them, save half of their lunch and have it at 3. So that way they're not, shaking when they come at 7 o'clock and they can't go so hard. Sometimes it's, I'm too tired, or I'm not motivated. That's my favorite one. I'm not motivated. And sometimes that comes from not really knowing what you're going to do that night. You're not really looking forward to going to the gym, so you don't really know what you're going to do. You don't know what to plan. So scheduling your workouts the week ahead, right? Writing down what you're going to do. And if you need a trainer or a coach or something like that, you can find that if you don't know what to do for a workout. But there's tons of, programs online, or even just picking your favorite thing that you want to do that night, just planning ahead what you're going to do. Also scheduling in your workouts. I know that sounds like such an obvious thing, but actually doing it. I have some clients that send it to me at the beginning of the week, just for that, again, that accountability, and getting around it. Sometimes it's, I'm too tired. So maybe you have a deal with yourself ahead of time that when you get to the gym, all you have to do, this is what I do for myself, all I have to do is 3 sets of one exercise, like 3 sets of 10, one exercise, whatever it is. If I still don't feel good, or if I still feel tired, I still feel sick after that, I can go home. And I've only gone home maybe twice, and I've tried that method, and every time I go through that workout, I feel better. So it's really just getting these plans ahead of time and setting that accountability for yourself. So even with the, my rule of doing 3 sets, that's not even so much of preparedness, but almost like setting up an expectation for myself, and that counts too. So, really when it comes down to these action plans, you want to go for, the first step is awareness. So get a journal, or I just like to do the notes in my iPhone, whatever's accessible, whatever's the easiest for you, whatever's going to be most likely for you to stick to. Don't go for the fanciest option, go for the most realistic. Take about 2 weeks and, write down everything that gets in your way. Anything that stopped you from a workout, any reason you could think of, make that list as exhaustive as possible. So that way you can come up with as many solutions as possible. Just bring awareness to it. And that's kind of the hardest part. It takes that honesty and that vulnerability of really being honest with yourself and what's getting in your way. Am I making excuses? And that's kind of what's good about behavior change programs versus workout routines is, you have to bring that honesty first before you even start this action plan. So it's almost like you're setting yourself up for success, because when you bring that honesty and that vulnerability of what the real problem is, you're setting yourself up for success already. So it's very unlikely that you're going to fail at something like this. So bring awareness, write it down for 2 weeks. Don't even worry about making changes at first. Just start small. Just write down anything that gets in your way. Then at the end of those 2 weeks, you take down that list of obstacles, write it down on paper. Don't just think about it, write it down, because you need to make sure that that's like a contract with yourself. And then next to it, you write down a solution. You write down what you could have done ahead of time to prevent yourself from being in a situation, or how you could prepare for it. Maybe it's, doing your grocery shopping a month in advance online and having that set up every week. Be creative with it, because sometimes it's not always going to be that easy. Sometimes it's your schedule. I have some clients say, I never know when I'm going to get out of work. Okay, well, do you have a set in time in the morning? Yeah, it's 9 a.m. Okay, well, then maybe you need to schedule your workout in the morning when you do have a set in time. So, and it's kind of hard to give examples because it is so individualized, but that's really a personal kind of choice anyway. I will offer my email at some point so you guys can reach out if you have specific questions. But just figure out, don't be afraid to go way back. You might have to go back a few steps to figure out how far back or how long ago into this process did you actually have control. And when you can find that, then you can find a solution and be prepared. Once you find those solutions, right, you got to list them all out. Then you have to schedule those into your week. And that's probably the most important part. You have to schedule those in. When do I have to get them done? If it's a weekly thing, like doing your laundry on Saturdays to make sure that, by Thursday you're not out of clean gym clothes and that's an excuse. Whether it's scheduling your workouts ahead, whether it's scheduling your meetings ahead, whether it's scheduling 2 workouts a day so you have a backup, whatever it is, you have to put those preparation tasks into your week to make that a habit, because you have to be just as accountable for the preparation as you do for the workout and the consistency there. But once you have those scheduled in, then set up that reward system for yourself, right? So find something that is positive that you can use to set yourself up and reward yourself for completing those tasks. Measure what is success for you. What does consistency look like? How many times a week do you have to work out to feel successful? And then make sure you meet that. You have to set something significantly measurable in order to know when you've met it and know what you expect of yourself. And that's it for now. So I'll open it up to questions. I know we're right at time now, but if anybody has any questions that they've answered or that they've asked.
If you do have questions, you can put them in the Q&A option under the chat panel, and we'll hold on for a few seconds for those questions to come in.
Sure. Also, if you guys do have questions that you think of later, you can email me. We can probably put it up somewhere, Alexa, but it's Allie at Aion, AION, lifestyle.com, if you guys think of a question later.
Okay, we do have a question from,
Sure.
And it says, should you work out when you're hungry or tired, or is it better to go ahead and get the rest or food instead of working out?
So that's a great question. I think that the best option is to have a little something. I think if you're going to work out really, really malnourished and your blood sugar is low and you're feeling really weak, A, you risk injury, B, you're not going to get much out of the workout and you're going to end up cutting yourself short anyway. I wouldn't say skip the workout altogether because your body is definitely designed to be able to handle moving on a couple hours without eating. But again, that goes back to being prepared ahead of time, where you have like a Ensure or a shake or a little bar or just something small to get your blood sugar up. So that way you can work out without having a heavy meal and you don't have to skip it. Any other questions?
Okay, I don't see any others. How do you handle a flaky workout buddy and when you don't want to work out by yourself?
Get a new workout buddy. No, that's really true. I think that adding extra responsibility to, having to keep somebody else accountable is even more frustrating when you're struggling yourself. I think you want somebody, probably find a new workout buddy or have multiple workout buddies. I used to do a group of 4, and we would do it together. So that way, if 1 or 2 fell out, we would still have that one person. And then we had that group dynamic of not wanting to leave that one person behind. Or the best option would be to do like a class or something where you have that accountability to show up on time and, there's going to be more than one person there.
All right, we have another one. I've plateaued in my workouts. How do I keep improving?
Oh, that's a big question. It really matters what your goal is. You want your workouts to match your goal. It's the principle of specificity. Also, your body's going to adapt to what you give it. So if you've been doing the same workout for a long time, your body's going to eventually become sufficient at those activities. So you want to look at which modalities you can, manipulate, either increasing frequency or like how often you're working out or how long you're working out or the load, going a little heavier or just changing the style totally. Maybe you've been doing cardio and you want to try switching up some weights, or maybe you want to add some functional training like, gymnastics or monkey bars or something like that. But your body's eventually going to adapt to what you give it. That's how it's designed. So if you keep doing the same thing, your body's eventually going to become sufficient, and then it doesn't have a need to change anymore because it's completing the task that you're asking it. So switch it up, find something new. And also if you do kind of like a dynamic workout already, just try increasing those different modalities, either the weight load or the intensity, add some sprints if you're doing cardio, lift heavier weights, do more sets, anything like that. And play with it, have fun, set new goals for yourself.
Great. And another one is, any opinion on the workout apps like Peloton, or do you have any recommendations?
I don't use apps. I'm kind of old-fashioned. I think a good app is anything that helps you get to your goal. And especially with technology, it makes things really convenient. I don't have a specific preference, but whatever is going to work for you, I feel like that is really going to be helpful in these action plans too, in terms of what is really your obstacle. If it's just getting to the gym, then is there an app that helps you actually show up? I don't know. You know what I mean? That it's not really going to be super helpful. But if it's a matter of, sticking to how often you get there or how hard you're going, and you have an app that tracks your heart rate or something like that, like I think that that's great, especially, we're more likely to complete a task or be successful the easier it is. That's like psychology. So if you can make it easier, that's better. But I think it really goes back to looking at what your obstacles are, what's actually holding you back from your goals, your consistency, or reaching the fitness level you want, and then finding the app that matches your needs. What modality does it offer that matches the gap that you're missing? So any app that's going to help you is going to be great.
All right, and then we have another question. No matter what I do, I get really hungry before bed. So do you have any tips to change this?
I feel you on that one. Yeah, eat more during the day. Eat more during the day, also a lot of water. Our hormones change when we get tired too. So that's probably pretty natural. Your ghrelin comes up, your leptin. So if you're really starving at the end of the night, well, first you want to diagnose if it's like, are you really starving hungry, like you haven't eaten enough? Or is it like that kind of craving, like I'm tired, I kind of want that comfort feeling? If it's that comfort feeling, then that's something that you want to look at in terms of finding an alternative, like a heated blanket or tea, or maybe, a show or something else, playing piano at night, whatever the case may be, if you're looking for that comfort. If you're genuinely starving, then you're probably not eating enough during the day. Spreading out your meals a little bit more can help, adding a little bit more fiber, And also, healthy fats tend to be the number one killer of a great workout routine. We tend to avoid healthy fats because they have a high calorie content, but they keep us so satiated, and they help regulate those hunger hormones that do tend to kick in at night. So look at, how many healthy fats you have in your diet, and if not, try keeping that up and switching out that, that calorie load from some of your either protein or carbs, whatever your needs are for your workout. But look at more avocado, nuts and seeds, cold pressed oils, things like that, and that should help satiate you so you don't have that drop at the end of the day. Make sure you're getting enough calories in general too.
Great. We'll take one more question, and that is, how often should we switch up our workout routine?
Sure. Honestly, that's up to you. It depends on your goal. If you want like a generic answer, I'd say about 6 weeks. It depends on your goal. If you're doing, if you have like a long-term goal, like you're a professional athlete or something, then, switch up or keep your routine consistent until you reach your goal. If you're talking about in order to see changes, you can keep the routine the same and change the modalities like I was mentioning before. Like if you really like doing Olympic lifts, you can, increase the weight load every 2 weeks, and that can last you for a good year or so. So it really just matters on, what your goal is. If you're trying to reach a certain performance goal, there's no harm in changing up the workout all the time if you're not, doing something different every class or every week or whatever that keeps you engaged, if you're just looking at overall fitness, right? So it depends on if you have a performance goal, you want to lift a certain weight, run a certain distance. But overall, I'd say maybe every 6 weeks for a smaller goal and maybe every 3 months for a bigger goal. That's usually what I do for my clients, just because you tend to get bored anyways, and you want to stay engaged in your program. But there's really no, there's no harmful minimum or harmful maximum as long as your body's feeling good, and, based off your goal, what you want to see yourself achieve.
Great. Thank you so much, Allie. And all of you can be sure to view your Fitspot schedule or check out your challenges, your steps on your Fitspot dashboard. And again, that URL is app.fitspotapp.com. And thank you so much, Allie, for hosting. We'll see you all next month for Tune In Tuesday.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.